Good afternoon, everyone out there in Facebook land. This is Dr. Len Tau. Today, we are continuing our marketing series. Yesterday, we spoke to Adam Zilko of Fire Gang Dental Marketing, and today I have my good friend and fellow Pennsylvanian, Xana Winans from Golden Proportion Marketing, and we're going to spend some time talking about marketing your practice to a post-COVID-19 population. What's the plan? So, Xana, you are fairly well known in the dental industry like myself. Your husband is a dentist like myself.
Yeah.
We both are involved in marketing together, so we have a lot of expertise that we'll be able to share with the participants here. So if you come on board, people announce yourself, say hi, ask some questions, please, present them, and we'll get Xana to answer them. But I'm looking forward to spending the next 45 or so minutes with you. So for those that don't know who Xana is, let me read her very brief bio. She's the owner, CEO, resident visionary, and lead strategist of Golden Proportions Marketing. She's married to an accomplished dentist for over 26 years, and she's personally experienced what it takes to build and grow a fee-for-service practice. And I think that's everybody's dream, is to grow a fee-for-service practice. So welcome to, thanks for joining me today. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
So where would you like to begin? There's a variety of topics here to talk about because I think we're living in uncertain times still. I told you I went into the office just for a few minutes before to do some business stuff. Didn't see any patients, but we're living on uncertain terms right now. Or uncertain times right now. So where do you want to begin? Where do you think we should begin? I'll let you kind of drive the ship right now, and then we'll just start talking and go from there.
Absolutely. So I'm going to imagine that most doctors out there, just because we've been having hundreds and hundreds of conversations with clients the past 2-3+ weeks, starting to lose track of time. I don't know about you.
6 years.
Is trying to understand when is this all going to end? Because I think if people don't have that vision of when are they going to come out of it, it's difficult to be motivated to move forward, right? And we all feel like we need a purpose in our day, and it's sort of this aimless wandering right now. So my job is to challenge people to say, we don't know when the end is going to be, but there is an end. We have all seen from how other countries are handling this. We've even seen New York is starting to flatten the curve already. They're on a decline. It could be the end of April. It could be the end of May. This thing is not going to be going on until Christmas. So now is the time to start putting a plan together and make good, productive use of your time, so you come out on the other side of this, like ready to take on the world when it comes to your current patients and new patients.
Well, it's interesting. Just so you know where I stand, I won't see any non-existing patient emergencies. If they're an existing patient, have an emergency, I will go in and see them. I had one patient leave a message that she got tested for COVID and still hasn't gotten a result. So I nicely told her, call me when you're tested. I'm going in to see you. So I was very nice about it, but I said, I'm not going in for you.
I can feel it, yeah.
But it's interesting as this time has gone on, my phone, and I have a very visible website. You know me, I'm all over Philadelphia. And the phone was kind of dead. I have a company answering my phones for me. So most people I'm just getting emails all day long. And today and yesterday, there's been a significant increase in the number of emergencies that have come in from non-new patients. From new patients. And I was talking to my associate today, who actually works in another practice. And today it was her day to go into the practice that she's working in, other than mine. And she said it was filled with emergencies. So I think the people that are real, and there were new patient emergencies, not existing patients' emergencies. So I think what you're finding, interesting enough, is those patients who don't normally go to the dentist are needing a dentist now, and they have nowhere to turn because there's no dentists are really seeing patients.
Well, I think, yeah, that's the real challenge is, you might have, we're in a relatively small town in central Pennsylvania. We probably got, 20 dentists within a 10-mile radius, probably a little bit less than that. And I know they're not all seeing emergency patients, but there's still the same number of emergencies happening on a day-to-day basis. So you're kind of compressing that demand to just a couple of doctors. So while you're not comfortable seeing emergency patients who aren't your patients, and I totally get that, I have a relatable story. There's some doctors who really are comfortable with that and they want to do their part to help. So it can be a practice growth opportunity right now if they want to take that opportunity. Not everybody is comfortable with that.
Yeah, I just think with the way the world is right now, and you don't even know if you technically really have it, I'm just a little hesitant to risk it going into the practice and seeing someone who I have no relationship with. That's why I'm making that. I think it's a great practice builder if these patients are going to do additional dentistry. And, from the sound of it, these are people that are not the best patients for the ones that are reaching out to me. So, like I said, if you want to take the opportunity to grow your practice, I think it would be great to see all the emergencies and, you get all these patients coming in. I'm just not in the position to do that, nor do I want to do that at this point. So, but, why don't we start off with some of these, topics that we wanted to talk about, which is, and I think it's a big question I get too. Which marketing should doctors cut to save money, and which marketing aspects are more what we would call essential, like essential versus non-essential?
So, a great question, and this is one we're getting on a regular basis. And I'm much more, I think, sympathetic to what doctors are going through, just because I'm literally living and breathing it through my husband's practice. The first thing we're telling all of our doctors that it's totally okay to kind of pause on are elective dentistry type campaigns. Things like if you're doing a Google ads or Facebook ads campaign for cosmetics or implants, they're not emergency patients. Yes, you could potentially be filling the funnel with that demand for a couple of months down the road, but I'm going to bet most of those patients are not even looking for those services right now. So in my mind, easy place to save money. We know that there's a lot of money that is going to Google these days. So that's a quick one to pause. But there's still things that are really important, like SEO. I'm telling everybody, you got to keep SEO because it took so long to climb to the top as it was. The last thing you want to do is put the brakes on that right now and tell Google you're not paying attention. Or even better, honestly, because some of your competitors are like a little freaked out by this financially and they're just stopping everything. This is your chance to rise.
Yep.
If they're not going to pay attention, it's a great time to pop in there and get a nice little extra burst to your rank.
No, and I agree with that. What do you think? And I get a lot of questions coming into me, and I was talking to a dentist earlier, and they were saying that their company or their marketing person basically said that the brick and mortar businesses on Facebook are not able to advertise right now. And I've heard mixed things. Some accounts have been shut down. Some accounts have not been shut down. There are obviously, I've seen images of people advertising on Facebook. So what are you hearing on your end?
Brick and mortar dental practices? Or you
just brick and mortar businesses in general, which dental practices we're brick and mortar in the sense that we have a physical building. It's not like we're virtual only. So that I've had a number of my referrals that I refer to for Google AdWords and Facebook funnels tell me that their accounts have been shut down, not able to put ads up just because I don't know what they're doing, but I've heard that from a number of people. So I'm just curious what you're hearing out there.
I've personally seen less of those types of businesses in my feed, unless it's someone who has a product that they can do online shipping. I am still getting just as many hits in my Facebook feed for clothing stores and that type of service. But I mean, it's not like I'm getting an ad from some local small business that is trying to get traffic in their doors, whether it's their choice or Facebook's choice. And I also know that both Facebook and Google are being really careful about anybody doing any advertising that tags onto the COVID-19 message. They're just literally banning those ads because there's so much false information out there. So whatever message you do have, you have to be careful not to make it look like you're taking advantage of this crisis that we're in.
Yeah, and I love that questions are coming in, so please ask them. That's great. So I'll ask the question out that came in so more people will ask them. What about patients feeling comfortable coming back, especially given the news saying we are unsafe and closing us down? So that's a big look, and I talk about this just during my seminars, is that everything about dentistry in the news is always bad. It's about the HIVs and hepatitis and the dentists who don't wear gloves, and dentists only wanting the money. I mean, there's so many dental stories out there which I point out in my seminars. And we've got to overcome that all the time. And this is just another, not self brought on. This is just with aerosols and everything else. So what do you think about getting the messaging out there that we are going to be coming back? We don't know what the regulations are. I don't know if anything's going to change, to be honest with you. So where do you feel, or what do you think we should do to, and I guess this is something more for, when we reopen, what the message should be, but this is a specific question for one of the viewers.
So I think the messaging, honestly, this is like taking me back to my old days when I was in high school and the AIDS crisis hit. All anybody wanted to talk about was, what are you going to do to keep me safe? Infection control. So, and that messaging doesn't need to wait until you open your doors. That should be starting right now. Patients need to understand from doctors and their teams what they do, frankly, on a daily basis to keep them safe, because we've gotten so far removed from the AIDS crisis and hepatitis and some of the, occasionally you'll get a little pop in the media, but it's a long time in between. So we kind of take that sterilization stuff and make it back burner. Who cares about it anymore? But that needs to be the message right now. What you do to keep people safe every single day, and then really going out of your way to tell them what extra steps you're going to take. Personally, Len, I don't know about you, but I am advocating that doctors spend this time right now updating their websites, their marketing, any patient interaction to reflect anything where a patient's going to have a concern about contamination. So what a perfect time to go to online forms, so that I'm not picking up a pen at the front desk that God knows who has touched it. Online payment portals. I don't want to hand you my credit card, and I don't know where your hands have been in the last time you sterilized them. Anything that we can do to take that kind of communication or patient interaction online, now's the time to do it. And frankly, that's part of your messaging then, is telling people you are taking these extra steps so there is less potential for contamination. Even if you and I know it's very, very small, it's the reassurance they're going to need.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, and I never brought this up before, but I should have. In all the times I've spoken about this topic, and you brought it up, and I appreciate that. I've been paperless for 13 years. From the moment I bought my practice, I went paperless, and online forms became a thing, a number of years ago. And now I require, and to a extent require, quote unquote, require patients to fill out the forms ahead of time. For a variety of reasons. And patients think it's because we want to save time, and it's not. It's because they get committed to the practice ahead of time. When they fill out the forms, they're committed to coming in. They show up. When they don't fill out the forms, they don't show up. But when we were telling patients why we wanted them to fill out the forms ahead of time, when we were seeing patients in the middle of March before they shut everybody down, part of what we were saying is that if you fill it out, you don't have to touch anything. You just come in, we'll take you right back. And I didn't even mention the COVID issue. It was just a way for them to get the forms done. So I like the fact that you had mentioned going to paperless forms. This is a great opportunity to switch to those services that offer paperless forms. It dumps right into Dentrix or whatever practice management you're using, and it makes that conversation go a little better. I like the way you just brought that into the conversation.
Well, and we're going to have to look at that in a lot of different things. I think, frankly, this is a great opportunity for us to start using the tools that we've already invested in new and different ways. So I love the idea. Personally, I'm always observing what else is going on in other businesses, other retail establishments, to see if there's some idea I can pick up and bring back to dentistry. So 5 whole days before the entire state got shut down, my husband, his side project is he launched a craft brewery with his best friend. And because it was hugely popular, everybody walks in the door. If there's not a table ready, we take their cell phone number. We say, go take a walk on the rail to trail, have a drink at the bar. We'll text you when your table is ready. Now, the same concept can apply to all these text messaging apps that we have now. Your patients are not going to want to sit in a crowded waiting room next to a bunch of other people breathing their air. Start using your text messaging. Let them sit in their cars until it is exactly their moment to come in, where they can feel like they are going to have the least possible contamination or human interaction with someone else who could potentially be an issue for them. So we've got a lot of tools we can already put to better use in new and creative ways to help with this messaging of, we are protecting you.
We just have to change the messaging because we haven't been using that messaging before.
Exactly.
So if I think we use the current tool we have and change the messaging, I think we can tweak it to what we have. And that's something I did. And I don't know if you heard or people were talking about it online, was I had Invisalign patients that needed to pick up trays. And I went in for a couple of emergencies last week, and I'm about 45 minutes, maybe 40 minutes from my office, and I don't want to keep going back. So I contacted all the patients that would do the next couple of weeks. And I said, I'm doing a curbside pickup of my Invisalign trays. That's what I called it. And they're like, what do you mean? So this is what I want you to do. I want you to go to my office. There's a parking spot, like literally right in front of my suite. When you get there, I want you to text me, letting me know you're there.
Mhm.
I will have the trays ready. You will come up to the door. I will hand you the trays through the mail slot in the door. So you don't even have to have any contact with me. And everybody loved it. So it worked out really well. And everybody gave their trays. I didn't have to have any physical contact with any patients. I just said, here's 3 sets of trays, so we won't have to see you for 6 weeks. Everybody showed up. Everybody came at a designated time slot, and it was great. So they called a curbside pickup for your Invisalign trays, and it went off without a hitch. So
that's perfect. I hadn't seen that, but clearly great minds think alike, because that's what people are going to need for, I'm going to bet it's a year or two at least, until these subliminal fears we've all got built up start to calm down a little bit, and we realize it's not quite the threat that it was, at least that we're going through right now.
yeah, and the other I was telling one of my colleagues this exact situation, and they said they took it one step further and they hand delivered their trays to their patients and put them in their mailboxes, which I thought was great. My patients are spread out pretty far. I'm not in a small community, or I would consider that. I don't want to be an Uber for the trays, so I decided not to do that. But I think that's great when they come up with ideas like this. Is how you show your patients that you care, and I think that's what's most important here.
It is. Another thing I've been telling doctors to do, and again, I love pulling ideas from whatever else is going on in the world right now. I'm sure you've seen all of our grocery stores have moved to hours specifically for seniors, 6 to 8 in the morning. And I'm telling doctors they need to have dedicated hours for high-risk patients, so that they're the first ones in the morning, so that your patients who have diabetes and heart disease and just the elderly or anyone who's immune compromised, that's their dedicated time. There's less potential for them to interact with someone who could potentially get them sick. They know they're coming in first thing in the morning, where you have completely wiped down the office the night before, the morning of, and it's just going to make them feel more secure. So adapting what we're currently doing, but using the messaging of I'm doing this to keep you safe, is going to build a lot of trust with patients, both existing and new.
And it makes the patients feel important.
It does.
One of the things I talk about is I imagine every patient has the words MMFI attached on their forehead, make me feel important. And if you can make the patient feel important, they'll want to come back and refer to you. And that's the whole point here. So I think that's a great option here. I think that's great messaging. I think we've adapted, like you said, adapted to what's currently going on, and things have already existed. We just have to take it in and just tweak the messaging. I think that's awesome. So, one of the things you mentioned, which I want to talk a little bit about is working on the website. A lot of websites, and I know you commented on the Facebook group about the ugly website contest, which I think was a genius idea that Pete came up with there. So if you guys are paying attention, there's a link on my Facebook group from Pete Johnson from Get Practice Growth, and he's doing this ugly website contest. So if you want to vote, go to the link and vote. But the point is that you need to work on your website here. And Xana already said that. And there's websites that have, copyright dates of 2017, 2018. So that nobody's even barely looked at the site in that many years. So what are some things that you don't want them to edit the site necessarily word for word, but that you want them to update it? So I'm going to let you kind of lead here. I'll kind of fill some gaps in as well. But what can dentists do, not technically involved, but what can they do to do some things that are updating their website?
So this is perfect. When you've got downtime, I can't tell you how many times I'll talk to a doctor. We're looking at their website and they're like, oh yeah, that person on my team, they haven't been here for about 3 years. Nobody goes in and looks at their own site objectively. So this is the time to go in, make a hit list of everything that needs to be updated. If you have a contact management or a content management system, which most sites are built on, WordPress, or even if it's a pro site, there's some pretty easy editing functionality. make your updates right now. But this is also the time, besides adding the tools we talked about, add an infection control page to your site with a video showing people what you are doing to protect them when they come into the practice. I would also look at, frankly, this is a good time to just get an objective SEO analysis. Make sure that the company you're paying is doing their job. And one thing I'm telling everybody to look for, Len, are toxic backlinks. This is one of those little secrets in SEO that most people don't even think about. Because, and are you familiar with what a toxic backlink is?
I do, yes, go ahead. But explain it to the users so they will know what that is.
For the rest of the world, pretty much anybody from any website anywhere can link to your site. And if your site ranks better than their site, if it has more SEO value, it actually gives their lower ranking site a little bit of boost or SEO juice. The problem is that there's some guilt by association in Google's eyes. So if you are allowing a spam site from Russia that is selling Cialis to link to your site, you're essentially telling Google, I'm totally okay with this. A good SEO company is constantly checking for toxic backlinks, telling Google to disavow them, to not pay attention to them, and then showing Google that you are actually monitoring what's going on with your site. So running a good SEO analysis, they'll pick up things like that. This is the time to get it cleaned up because your SEO company is going to have their hands full with a lot of new dentists who need to market their practices for patients once this all opens up. This is the perfect time to address things like that.
Yeah, and Vicky's asking which software we're using to do a split screen. So Vicky, it's called BeLive, BeLive.tv. If you want to look into it, it's actually a very cool app. I can put logos in. I can do a little teleprompter here. You'll see it pop up here in a second, so you can ask questions. So it's pretty cool. I'm learning how to do all this stuff on my own. So see what you can do in your downtime. I never liked to do lives before ever, especially by myself. This is easy live. This is like just an online podcast for me. So this is cool for me. I enjoy this. So hopefully that answers your question. So no, and I think toxic backlinks are very important to remove. But what's really amazing to me, and this is something I think that I'm just bringing up totally improv with you. So I was talking to a dentist yesterday, and they said, we love our website company, but we want to check out how they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I have a lot of tools that I can look. I have a lot of these, SEO tools that I kind of bought to kind of do stuff, and they're getting such bad. I mean, they have like no backlinks. They have like such low traffic each month, and they're like getting ripped off. So I think this is a good time to reach out to your web company, ask them for your Google Analytics, send it to an independent person who has some expertise. I'll volunteer myself. I'm sure, Xana, you don't mind helping out as well. So send it to one of us. We'll analyze and we'll give you the truth, whether they're taking advantage of you, because they see it all the time. You have no idea what you're getting from what you're spending money on. And it's ridiculous because you're getting no SEO being done. You're paying nothing. You're paying something each month and you're getting nothing for it. So it's pretty amazing what I'm seeing.
Yeah, it is kind of scary, but I get it. I couldn't walk into anybody's office and do a root canal tomorrow. I know enough to talk about it, to be dangerous about it, but I don't want to physically do it. By the same token, doctors they have a good understanding of SEO, but they don't know the level, the in-depth that it takes to really make a website rank well, fly, get the traffic, get the conversion. So one thing that we have that I love is we can run a report for literally anybody, and it will give every person a detailed, literally like with links to the problem in your site, exactly where to go to fix it. So it kind of gives you a roadmap, a step-by-step roadmap of exactly what to address in your site, where you got a broken link, where you need to fix a description tag, where you need a header tag, all these kind of things. So it kind of holds your web company accountable to make sure they're doing what they said they were going to do.
And one other thing I recommend, if you ask for Google Analytics and they don't actually give you the analytics, they put it on a piece of paper and they're writing stuff, there's a problem. You have to have actual analytics that you see and you can interact with, or else you're trying to hide something. That's what it's about. So there are websites you can go to, just like how to learn to use Google Analytics. There's some simple reporting aspects that you need to know how to understand and what the stats are. But yes, if they're hiding stuff, you'll know because they're not giving you the full reports. They're highlighting it in boilerplate over boilerplate. So just be aware of that. I just wanted to make sure you guys knew that, because that's something I'm seeing a lot now as I'm spending time talking to doctors and seeing what they're getting. So, you know, we're talking about website design or looking at websites, analyzing website. What are some other things that either the dentists can do, or if they're still employing their employees and they're still working and we're not in physical practice right now, what are things the team can do in addition to looking at the website? What are some marketing things that they can look at doing?
So this is a great opportunity to kind of get your plan together. Like a literal, I can't tell you, very few practices actually have a written marketing plan. And what a perfect time, you've got all this downtime to literally decide every stage of the marketing funnel, from your brand awareness to your lead generation, your lead conversion, your referral sources, your reviews. What strategies do you want to put in place? Assign who on your team is going to be responsible for them, what steps need to be taken. Because when you have that plan in place, you can start to work on some things now. And then when those floodgates open, you're already going to have a plan to follow when you have your weekly or your monthly team meetings. And it won't be this mess that everybody is used to of just reactionary marketing, which is, I think, what most of us are doing.
I would agree with that. Yes.
That's a big one that I like to see people focus on. Another thing for right now, honestly, is staying in contact with your patients. Social media has never been a more perfect vehicle for connecting with people. I believe there is a huge amount of authenticity that comes through social media to your patients to let them know, look, I'm going through the exact same thing that you are. And let me show you how my family and I are dealing with this and what we can do, to make your lives a little bit better moving forward. And I apologize. I've got a dog who just decided to join me. This is what we get for working from home. If anybody hears any heavy breathing in the background. So that is a great thing to do. I would also say this is a perfect time to respond to reviews. And how many doctors do you see, Len, that they get reviews, but nobody ever answers them? Nobody says, thank you for letting us know about this information. Let's address this problem, or just letting people know that you heard what they had to say. That's a simple thing that people can log in and do right now.
Yeah, and just understand, now that you brought that up, Google is not showing those review responses right now. They will release them once this whole COVID situation, but they're working with a skeleton crew at Google. So those types of things, any edits you're doing to your Google My Business page, any reviews that you're getting from patients, you may find that you're not going to see them post by Google. That's just normal right now, just to be very clear about what's going on in the world right now.
It is, but it's a good exercise, both of all, just to get that thing done and then to get in the habit of what you're doing. Another thing that I think we can do with downtime to start to prep for all of this is we need to start thinking about the patient experience when somebody comes back in. People are going to have less funds available. So do you need to create a membership plan? Do you need to, I don't want to say join an extra plan or two, insurance plan, that's not my goal, but do you need to look at signing up for some financing options so that your patients have the ability to get the care that they need? Another thing, if you're going to be doing extra sterilization in between appointments, start adding time buffers to the appointments that you've got right now. When you're rescheduling everybody, if it's going to take you an extra 5 or 10 minutes because you're doing this super thorough wipe down of every hygiene room, every treatment room, just so people feel secure, you need to actually add those buffers right now, or all of a sudden you're going to be running late, and that leads to negative reviews. So we need to kind of think ahead to what life will be like when this is all done.
100% so, and I agree with what you said there, especially is making sure patients are happy with their experiences, because what happens when patients aren't happy? They will blast you online, or could blast you online. I think there'll be a little, as long as you set the proper expectations, I think that you'll be okay. But if my expectation is that we're going to be down for a while, I don't know quite when at this point, but we'll be down for a while. But when practices are back up and running, there's going to be a deluge of patients looking for treatment. So to hit on what you said, I think we have to have financial payment options, which means you have multiple financing options available. You need to be able to spread those payments out as long as possible for no interest for the patients if they can have the credit to get it. So that's one thing. You also should have a financing option available for patients who may not have the best credit. I use a company called Lending Point. Lending Point is through Invisalign. That's how I heard about it, I should say. But they do it 1% to the practice, because the reason why practices don't want it in a lot of cases through care credit is because they have that 10 or 12% or 12, 13% hits. So they don't want to take that hit to their money, so they don't offer it. Now you have a 1% hit, but the patient pays the interest. That's the difference. But you can spread out payments for as much as 5 to even 72 months, 5 to 6 years. So I think we have to have flexible financial options. Membership plans, I think, are great. I think everybody should be considering a membership plan, because patients are going to be losing their insurance. When they lose their jobs,
Yep.
they lose their insurance. Now, supposedly people are going to have to be rehired because of the PPP plans, but who knows what's going on with that, because that's a cluster in itself. So I'm a little concerned with that. I agree with everything you said there, but if you don't set the patient's expectations properly, you open yourself up for a bad review, and that's everybody's biggest fear right now is, what about bad reviews? That's always everybody's fear, and then that's my space. So, let's talk about what you recommend on changing in practice to ensure that we don't end up with these negative reviews from a patient experience perspective.
So this is where transparency and, like you said, managing expectations is absolutely everything. Patients need to see that behind the scenes look of what you're doing for sterilization. So videos from the doctor and showing the team how they are doing sterilization. Honestly, I'm telling people, ask patients for reviews specifically about how safe they felt due to your sterilization processes. Let patients see that other people are socially validating that experience of, what you're doing, the extra steps you're taking. I think anything that you can do to manage expectations about more people are going to be extra cautious about coming into your office if they feel the slightest bit sick. So if you normally have a cancellation fee, because maybe if you have a chronic canceller, it's one thing, someone who's missed multiple appointments, but be really sensitive about anything that's going to look like a penalty to a patient when they are just afraid. They're just concerned for their own lives, their families, and the more transparent that you can be. I've even recommended, I don't know if you've heard about this, they're talking about doing essentially like a passport for anyone who has tested positive for COVID and officially gotten through it, and that they're clear so they can't infect you. If you have a team member who has been through that, is all clear, and is going to keep your patients more safe, if you're comfortable sharing that with a patient and showing, here's my proof that I am not going to infect you, you're going to make a lot happier patients. You're going to get better reviews. People are going to talk about you because you went the extra mile to just make them feel good.
I think that's great advice. I mean, I think that's really, I haven't heard about that, that passport. I'll have to look into that. But there was a question earlier, and I'll bring it up now. And it says, should we contact the ADA and ask for dentists and teams to be frontline providers who can access the vaccination when it's ready early?
If it were me, I would say yes, because you come into contact with so many people in such close proximity every single day. I think that's a great marketing point for patients, but we know it's going to be another year until there's a vaccine ready. Although I did just read something today about they're coming up with synthetic antibodies that would keep you safe for frontline providers, for paramedics, for doctors, et cetera, that'll keep you safe for probably a good 8 weeks at a time. So anything along those lines, if you're able to kind of get that initial treatment, people are going to feel a little bit better.
Yeah, and I think anything you can do to kind of differentiate yourself from any other dentist without being salesy. I mean, I think I think you have to be understanding that money is not out there. People are worried about their jobs. So you have to not be salesy. But if you can get yourself in front of them, even from a branding perspective, look, if you buy those negative pressure machines, or you can make an announcement, send out a press release. put a Facebook post about it. Those are things that you can do, which is still a form of marketing, but you're not doing it in a salesy way. I'm sure you agree with something like that.
Oh, I agree. This is not a time to be selling people. This is a time for empathy and connection. People have genuine fear. We all do. I don't know anybody who's excited about what's going on right now. We all have older parents or relatives or someone who's immune compromised that we're concerned about. And it's funny, my 20-year-old daughter is concerned about me. And I'm like, I'm not that old, kiddo. But everyone has someone that we're a little concerned about. So it is totally fair to validate their fears and feel empathy, and express that without going over the top. But we don't want to make patients fearful. The marketing should be done to just make them feel comfortable and safe, not to sell anything. When they are safe and they feel taken care of, they will trust the treatment that you're going to talk to them about.
Yeah, my wife doesn't like I travel as much as I do, which is part of what I do now. And she's always said she wanted me to stay home. Well, now I'm staying home. So it's not that she expected it to be for this reason, but now I'm home, and it's just part of what we were doing at this point.
Go away, you're
done. I'm using this as my outlet to reach people. So it's been good. So I'm curious your thoughts on, and someone asked about it earlier too, and I'll get to it now, is online pay options.
Mm-hmm.
How do you recommend dealing with that in this time of day? And I'm curious from two perspectives. One is from a vendor perspective, because we both are vendors.
Mm-hmm.
And then from a doctor-patient perspective. So
I don't honestly have a favorite online bill pay option right now. I think there's a couple of good opportunities out there. This is a perfect time in your downtime to call all those companies and ask for demos. Get your homework done right now to pick one. But from a patient perspective, yeah, this is going to change how you bill patients. And it is going to be a matter of, instead of necessarily collecting at time of service, maybe you're telling all of your patients to download the app to their phone before they come in if you need to process payment right on the spot, or you're just going to have to be comfortable with sending out a statement and getting it collected within the next, week or two. If there's a little bit of a delay now, it's going to change how all of us do business. But I think online bill pay is just one more step to making people feel okay about this process.
And I think if you have a credit card processor, a lot of them have online payment options built in. You just have to get the widget for the website, and I think you can do that. I mean, and there's text to pay options with a couple companies out there who do communication. So I think there's ways for you to get that done. I was more so curious about dealing with the prospect of people not in business right now, and what you think about broaching the topic of people who owe money during this time.
Oh, you mean like, should you be collecting from people?
Yeah, or not even collecting, but calling or reaching out, or from that perspective, more of that, the outreach of getting the money from the people who owe you money.
Yeah, so look, I get it. As a business owner, we all need revenue to be able to survive. And when doctors were shut down, especially if you're not comfortable seeing emergency patients, you got zero revenue. You've already got the guilt of laying team members off. And you're thinking, okay, I see $30,000 in accounts receivable. Where's my money? But your patients are going through the exact same thing right now. I think that is a PR nightmare. If you're trying to collect from people right now, online bill pay or not, this is the time to ride it out if you can. Get that PPP loan, get some kind of business financing, and wait on the collections, I think, until your doors open back up. Or you're just going to end up getting skewered online in reviews.
Yeah, no, and I agree with that. And, one of the things I want to just let the listeners and viewers know is that I give your company a lot of credit. And I'll shout out to you guys because, being a dentist, I get all your daily notifications or all your daily emails. And it's all related to COVID. It's not salesy. It's, hey, we're here to help. These are the latest stuff. And I know you asked me to send you something. I'll do that. That was my fault. I haven't sent you. I do have plenty of stuff on COVID. So, but, not everybody's doing that. And it's nice to see that there's companies that are helping out and lending a hand and sending over to the dentists who do really need to know important information and how to get that information. So, props to you and Golden Proportions for doing that.
Thank you. And anybody who's listening, just go to goldenproportions.com/COVID-19 and you can sign up for the alerts. We're sending stuff out on a daily basis. When we get updates on the CARES Act, when we get a financial management list from a CPA firm for dentists, when we get HR things about how to help your team file for unemployment, we're putting all of that on this page and sending out those updates because I'm not kidding when I say I'm literally living this day by day with my husband's practice, not to mention with what all of our clients are going through. And I feel like this is going to sound corny, but I feel like a moral obligation to help this industry because I love it so much and I want everyone to come out of this okay. It just feels desperate right now to people. But when we have some tools and we have some steps, it feels like there's a little more control.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest, like I said, when we opened up, I think we're just living in very uncertain times. I was looking in a Facebook group yesterday and they said, someone asked, what are you doing with patients and when do you think we're open? And people were saying, well, nobody really knows. I mean, the states are putting, there's still states that don't have, shelter in place orders. There's 8 states that still haven't done that yet. And I just find that based on what you're seeing and the way the virus is moving around, I don't know why you wouldn't be staying indoors. The Georgia reopened the beaches. I mean, sometimes I just have to question why I don't want to make this political, but I have to question why the government's doing certain things. And look in Pennsylvania, it took forever to get the state to mandate specific closures. They were just going by county, by county, by county, but the virus is moving to county, to county, to county at the same time. So it didn't make sense to me. So I think that the whole point here is that we are living in very uncertain times right now. So we don't know when we're going to reopen. We don't know. But if you can prepare yourself for what's going to happen when you come out, it may be tough at that point. But again, I think that you'll see that patients will need work. They need dentistry. Going all this time without getting treatment, they're going to end up with emergencies. They're going to end up with more problems. So there will be a lot of patients looking for you. You just got to get out there and make them know, I'm here. I'm waiting for you. Come on in and see me when you're ready to come in. That's really what it's about.
Yeah. And that's why this is a great time to, again, to map out that marketing plan, whether you're doing it on your own or you talk to your agency and you kind of say, help me put together a strategy. Because I'm going to bet there's still going to be a lot more holes in the schedule than we realize because of this fear and this uncertainty. I mean, I'll tell you, Len, yesterday I had allergy shots. This time of year is driving me crazy with the trees coming out. My allergist is up in Williamsport and I was ready to go up for my shots. And I had this momentary, what am I doing? I'm going to be in an office with people who are naturally coughing and sneezing because it's allergy season. Am I literally going to put myself at risk? And I had this momentary, do I even go? Well, I tell you what, your patients are going to have that exact same reaction once you are open. Even if we all feel like this is somewhat under control, they're going to have little panic attacks. So if you are not ready with marketing that is ready to bring in new patients to start to fill some of those unintended gaps, it's going to take a lot longer to climb out of the financial impact of this shutdown that we're all experiencing.
And as you mentioned, that one other thing you can work on is talking to the team about what the verbiage to use when you're discussing things with patients. Because if they're not trained well to speak, and not everybody in the office is best on the phone, not everybody is best at communication, which is a tough skill to learn, they may not even know what to or how to describe it to a patient. I think that's a big problem.
That's actually perfect timing that you bring that up because yesterday I was reviewing scripts that we have already mapped out that we're going to have ready to send out to everybody. With what are the patient objections? Because their objections are not just going to be cost and insurance participation and schedule anymore. It's going to be, what are you going to do to make sure I don't die? So we've actually already mapped out as many of those possible objections. And then what are the answers that your team can give that are going to be confident and empathetic? Because if we just let people speak off the cuff, we're naturally, team members are going to express the same fears that the patients are feeling because we have all experienced this. So being prepared, I love you brought that up. Great minds, again. Those will be ready to go out pretty soon, actually.
And I know this isn't a sales part of it, but I do want you to let the viewers and listeners know, because this is going to be on a podcast eventually too, and you've already been on my podcast once. But can you just share with them real briefly about your smart market? Smart market, that's what it's called. It's your tracking product, because I think that's a really, really good option for people to kind of know what their marketing is doing for them, and it puts it all in one place. So again, I don't want you to be salesy, but can you at least let them know about it, so if they have interest when we're all out of this, they can reach out for more information about that.
Sure. Thanks for bringing that up. And I'm like the least salesy person you're ever going to find. Many years ago, I'm someone who's like a nut for completely understanding the impact of what I do for a client. If I don't feel confident that I'm producing a return on investment, I don't sleep well. So we built this product called Smart Market Dental, which utilizes a combination of call tracking and call screening with different numbers assigned to, say, your SEO or your Google AdWords or your Facebook ads. But then, because we can connect to your practice management software, we can actually tie a phone call from a patient from a particular marketing source directly to a patient record and prove to the penny on a day-to-day basis what your return on investment is. So it holds your it holds your practice accountable. Is your team converting these opportunities? But it also holds your agency accountable to make sure that you are getting what you're paying for and they're delivering high quality leads and prospects for you. So I love it. Personally, we use it for every client because it makes us produce better work. So if anyone wants to see it, just reach out and I'm happy to give you guys a demo.
And this is a good time for that, because we're sitting home. I'm not selling much bird eye. People are asking me about what we're doing, and I'm showing them. But again, I think it's a good time to reach out to learn more about that product. So what's the best way that they can reach out to you?
So 2 ways I say are usually the best. One, just go to our website, goldenproportions.com. We have live chat on there. I won't say it's monitored at 1 o'clock in the morning. I tend to get some crazy times for chats, but it's usually monitored through most of the day and night. And we'll answer your questions. And you can set up an online appointment to talk to us. Or I would say just drop me an email. It's xana@goldenproportions.com. I'm happy to talk to anybody and everybody. I don't care what agency you're working with. It's my goal to just help people get through this crisis. So if you just want some advice, you want an ear to talk to, reach out. We'll set something up. I would love to help you figure out how to come out of this on the other side, perhaps even stronger than where you were before we went into this crisis.
Well, this was, and I'm not going to toot my own horn here, but I guess I will. I've done one every day except Friday, so since last week, so maybe 7 of these or 8 of these. And I think all my guests were good. This was fabulous. I mean, this was, this was great. So I want to thank you. This was terrific. I hope the viewers and the listeners will agree. Great information, a lot of good conversation between the two of us. So thank you so much. Guys, if you want more information, please reach out to Xana. She's a terrific resource. I will be having her. I am putting together another virtual CE event in the next couple weeks. We're just looking for some dates and figuring out some direction we're going to go. But I will be inviting Xana to be part of that, because she is so terrific when it comes to these topics. And she is not salesy, so very much like myself, we're not into self-promotion. And if you have any questions, please reach out to her. So thank you guys for listening. Tomorrow, speaking to Matthew Petchel and his company called Microsite. And they'll talk to you about a little bit about virtual dentistry, teledentistry right now. So we'll speak tomorrow. I think it's 10 o'clock in the morning. I'll update it a little bit. And Xana, thanks so much again.
Len, thanks for having me on. It was great.